Dear student, Namaste. Welcome to Business Studies class. So far you have been studying, you have studied definition and features of partnership firm. It's the second chapter of first year business studies. In first chapter you have studied the meaning of trade, business and commerce. Then you studied what is the objective of setting up a business. Then second chapter, that is forms or types of business organization or business enterprises. As you know, there are 5 types or 5 forms of business organization. First one, sole trading concern. Second one, Hindu undivided family. Third one, partnership firm. Then fourth one, cooperative societies. Then fifth one, joint stock companies. Then we have studied the meaning of sole trading concern, features, merits and demerits. Then again you have studied the definition, meaning and features of partnership firm. Now move on to next concept. What are all the merits of partnership firm? So first one, ease of formation and closure. Ease means easy. Easy to form or easy to establish, and again it's very easy to close or end the partnership firm. Look at the point is given here. A partnership firm can be formed easily by putting an agreement between prospective partners into place whereby they agree to carry out the business of the firm and share the risk. It means the formation of partnership firm is very easy when you comparing it to the sole proprietorship or sole trading concern. When you compare between partnership firm and joint stock company, it is easy. If you compare partnership firm and sole trading concern, the formation of partnership firm is slightly difficult one only when comparing to the sole proprietorship or sole trading concern. When we compare between partnership firm and joint stock company, the formation of partnership firm is very much easy than the formation of joint stock company. Here, the partnership firm is regulated by the Partnership Act of 1932. One more thing is here, the registration of partnership firm is optional, not mandatory or not compulsory. So when we compare between the partnership firm and joint stock company, the formation of partnership firm is easy. Again, when we come to closure of the company, even if the partner, if they want to wind up or end their partnership firm or partnership, again, it's very easy to wind up or very easy to end the partnership firm. It's the first merit of partnership firm, ease of formation and closure. That means it's very easy to form or start a partnership firm. Again, it's very easy to close, easy to end the partnership firm. It's the first one. Second one, balanced decision making. The partners can oversee different functions according to their areas of expertise, because an individual is not forced to handle different activities. This not only reduces the burden of the work but also leads to fewer errors in judgments. When we comparing into the sole trading concern, there's only one person. He oversees all the activities. One person cannot be the expert in all the areas. So he can't take proper decision. He can't take balanced decision. When you come to the partnership firm, here the minimum strength or minimum members is 2, maximum is 50. So each one of the partner, they can take up the function or work according to their expertization. So here they can take balanced or a good decision comparing to the sole trading concern. There's a second merits of partnership firm. So first one, ease of formation and closure. Second one, balanced decision making. Now come to third one, more funds. It means when you're comparing it to the sole trading concern, partnership firm, they can generate or they can raise more funds or more money. It's common because when you come to the sole trading concern, that's only one person, then he couldn't raise more fund when he wants. Again, when you come to the sole trading concern, lenders or the bank, they hesitate to lend the loan or give the loan to the sole trader. But when you come to the partnership firm, here the number of partners are more. So they can raise or they can pool more money. This makes it possible to raise larger amount of funds as compared to a sole proprietor and undertake additional operation when needed. That is the third merit of partnership firm. Very simple one. When we compare between partnership and sole trading concern, here in the partnership, they can raise more fund, they can generate more fund because here they have more partners or more members in the partnership. That's the third one. Then come to the fourth one, sharing of risk. In a sole trading concern, whatever the profit earned by the sole trading concern, then the sole trader is the sole recipient. He enjoys all the profit. Again, in the case of risk or loss also, then he has to bear all the risk. He is the sole responsible for the profit as well as to the risk or loss. In case of heavy loss, even the sole proprietor's individual or private asset or property is also liable to pay for the debt or loan. When you come to the partnership firm, the risk is shared because here we have more person, here we have more partners, so we can share the risk or loss. This is the fourth merits of partnership firm. Now, fifth one, secrecy. A partnership firm is not legally required to publish its accounts and submit its report. Hence, it is able to maintain confidentiality of information relating to its operations. Just like sole trading concern, even a partnership firm, they need not publish their books of account or report in the newspapers. If you see, when you come to the joint stock company, it is mandatory to publish their books of account or report to the public. But in partnership firm, it is optional. It's not mandatory. It's not at all needed to publish their report in the newspaper so that they can maintain their secrecy. That is the fifth one. Okay, look at the picture is given here. Merits of partnership. It's very easy to remind. Easy to remember the point. You can write this point also in examination, but you should know how to justify it. For 1 mark or 2 mark, it's okay. You may be asked that write any one merits of partnership. Okay, you can write any one. For 2 mark, you may be asked one more question like this. Write any 2 merits of partnership. Then you can write only 2 side point. But for 4 or 8 mark, you have to write the side point. Then you have to explain it. You have to justify that side point. Okay, look at the merits of partnership, ease of formation and closure, large financial resources comparing to sole trading concern, better management. This means they can take balanced decision, then better decision making, sharing of risk, secrecy, flexibility. Then last one, impact of unlimited liability. These are all the merits of partnership. You can write this point also in examination, but you should know how to justify these side point. Okay, that is the merits of partnership. Okay, then move on to the next one, limitations and demerits of partnership. First one, unlimited liability. Partners are liable to repay debt even from their personal resources in case in case the business assets are not sufficient to meet its debt. For example, if the partnership firm they are incurring heavy loss, then they have the asset and property. This asset or property is not sufficient, not enough for payment of debt or payment of loan. That time, the personal asset of the partner is also liable for payment of debt. It's called unlimited liability. It's a demerits or limitations. I repeat you now. When the company or partnership firm have heavy loss or heavy debt, that time company's asset or property is not enough, not sufficient to meet the debt for repayment of debt. In that time, the partners have to bear rest of the amount or rest of the debt. That's called unlimited liability. The second one, limited resources. Now, you can compare the partnership firm and joint stock company. In joint stock company, there's no limitation for membership. But when you come to partnership firm, there's a limitation. Maximum is 50. So, if you compare between joint stock company and partnership firm, now partnership firm, they can raise only limited resources or limited money. They can generate or they can raise limited resource or limited fund. Look at the explanation. There is a restriction on the number of partners and hence contribution in terms of capital investment is usually not sufficient to support large scale business operations. If any partnership firm, if they want to conduct the business in the large scale, then the amount of resources is not enough. It's not sufficient. As a result, partnership firms face problems in expansion beyond a certain size. If the company or the firm, if they don't have enough fund or money, then automatically they will face the problem. They can't expand their business. This is the second demerits or limitations of partnership firm. Third one, possibility of conflict. Whenever, if there is more than 2 or more person, it is common to arise a problem or the different of opinions, difference in opinions. When there is a difference in opinions, then automatically arises the conflicts or issues or problems. Even in the partnership firm, here we have more than two persons. Automatically, there may be the possibility of conflict. Partnership is run by group of persons, isn't it? It's run by group of persons, more than two persons, wherein decision making authority is shared. Here, everyone has the authority to take the decision. In this time, the difference in opinion on some issue in some topic may lead to dispute between the partner. If there's any difference in opinion in that time, it may lead to dispute between the partners. That's again the demerits of partnership firm. Fourth one, lack of continuity. The partnership firm comes to an end with a death or retirement, insolvency or reluctancy of any partner. It may result in lack of continuity. However, the remaining partners can enter into a fresh agreement and continue to run the business. Lack of continuity. If your firm has 10 partners, in case of any one of the partners' death, then automatically the partnership comes to an end. Remaining 9 partners, they can continue their business with the new agreement or with the fresh agreement. So it is a lack of continuity of partnership when the time of death, retirement, insolvency or legacy of any partner. It's a lack of continuity. Fifth one, lack of public confidence. Here, partnership firm, they won't get any public confidence because when the public get public confidence, they get the confidence only when they come to know the status of the partnership firm, the financial status of the partnership firm. Here in the partnership firm, there's no compulsion for publishment of the firm's report to the public. As a result, the confidence of public in partnership firms is generally low. There's a lack of public confidence due to non-mandatory of publish the financial report to the public. There is a lack of public confidence. That is the last one. Now look at the image. Some more demerits are given here. First one, less capital as compared to a company, unlimited liability, conflict or dispute between the partners, slow decision making, non-transferability of interest, uncertain life of firm, less public confidence. So these are all the demerits of partnership firm. Now, move on to next concept. Types of partners. How many types of partners are there in the partnership? In your textbook, only 6 types of partners are given, excluding minor partner and partners in profit only. But actually, we have 8 types of partners. First one, active partner. Second one, sleeping partner. Third one, nominal partner. Fourth one, secret partner. Fifth one, partner in profit only. Sixth one, partner by estoppel. Seventh one, partner by holding out. Then eighth one, minor partner. These are all the types of partners. Now move on to first one. First one, active partner. Who is the active partner? An active partner is one who contributes capital, participates in the management of the firm, shares its profits and losses, and is liable to an unlimited extent to the creditors of the firm. These partners take actual part in carrying out business of the firm on behalf of other partners. For example, if your firm has 10 partners, out of 10 partners, one partner, he takes active part in the management of the firm. Then he is called active partner. But just like other partners, he contributes capital, he brings the capital, then he has the share in profit as well as in the loss. Then again he has the unlimited liability, but he takes actual or active part in management. He conducts the business. He carrying out the day-to-day activity of the firm on behalf of other partner. He is called active partner. So in short, a partner who contributes capital into a business and also takes active part in day-to-day management of the business is called active partner or working partner. Now, what makes him different from the others? Only one thing, he takes the active part. Just like other partner, he brings capital. He has the share in profit and loss. He has unlimited liability, but he takes active part in management. He is called active partner. Second one, sleeping or dormant partner. Now, who is sleeping partner? A partner who is not active, who does not take part in activities of the partnership business. He contributes capital. He has share in the firm. He has unlimited liability. He is called sleeping partner. Here is the partner. He brings capital. He contributes capital. Then he has share in profit and loss. He has share in profit and loss. He has unlimited liability, but he is not active in the management. He is called sleeping partner. Got the point? Like other partners, he contributes capital. He has the share in profit and loss. He has unlimited liability, but he is inactive. He is not active in the management. So he is called sleeping partner. Move on to next one. Secret partner. Who is secret partner? He is a partner. He is one whose association with the firm is unknown to the general public, but he contributes capital. He participates in management of the firm. He has a share in profits and losses. He has unlimited liability. But the general public, they doesn't know he is the partner of the firm because his association is not known, is unknown. To the general public, he is called secret partner. Got the point now? He contributes capital. He participates in the management. He has the share in profit and loss of the firm. He has unlimited liability, but general public, they doesn't know this person is a partner in that business. His association is not known to the public. He is called secret partner. When you come to fourth one, nominal partner. Who is nominal partner? is the partner, but it doesn't contribute its capital. Got the point? Is the partner, but it does not contribute any amount to the firm. He does not take any active part in the management. He doesn't have the share in the profit or losses. But his liability is unlimited. It's a very interesting one. He's nominal partner. But he has given the permission to the partnership firm to use his name. Sometimes, generally, nominal partner may be a reputed person in the public. For example, if you are going to start a new business or new partnership business, now you got the permission of Ratan Tata to use his name in your business. So now you are using the name of Ratan Tata, but Ratan Tata doesn't contribute any capital to the firm. It does not participate in the management of the firm. It doesn't have any share in the profits and loss of the firm. But to the third party, he has unlimited liability. He is called nominal partner. Got the point? It doesn't contribute any money. It doesn't interfere in the day-to-day activity of your business concern, or it does not participate in management of the firm. It doesn't have the share in profit or in the loss, but this person has unlimited liability. He is called nominal partner. Nominal partner. That is the fourth one. Fifth one, partner by estoppel. Now, a person is considered as a partner by estoppel if through his or her own initiative, conduct or behavior, he or she gives an impression to others that he or she is a partner of the firm. Such partners are held liable for the debt of the firm because in the eyes of the third party, they are considered partner, even though they don't contribute capital or take part in its management. He is called partner by estoppel. In short, by creating such atmosphere that everyone should feel that he is a real partner, but in actual, he is not a partner. Okay? What does it mean? Third person or a third party, they have believed that he is the partner in the firm, but actually he is not a partner. Okay, now I give an example. Okay, we'll start with the example. X and Y, both are friends, but Y is the partner of one company, but X is not a partner. X is just a friend of Y. Y is the partner. One day, Y has some business meeting. Y has some business meeting. So he couldn't attend. Now Y requested X to attend the meeting on behalf of Y. I repeat you now, X and Y both are friends. Y is the partner in one firm or one partnership firm. Now Y he requested with X to go to the meeting on behalf of Y. Now X, he goes to meeting, then he participated in the meeting. Looking at his behavior or his activity in the meeting, third party they felt that X is the partner of the firm. But actually, Y is the partner. Y has sent X to the meeting. Now, our third party felt now X is the partner of the firm. So he is called partner by Estoffel. Just creating the atmosphere. Okay, by creating such atmosphere that everyone should feel that he is real partner, but actually in actual he is not a partner. Here everyone felt that X is the real partner, but in actual X is not a real partner. Y is the partner. Y has sent X to the meeting. Got the point? On behalf of Y, X even to meeting. So now X is called partner by Estoffel. That is the fifth one. Sixth one, partner by holding out. Partner by holding out is a person who, though he is not a partner in the firm, but knowingly allows himself or herself to be represented as a partner in a firm. In short, a person who shows that he is the part of the business, but in reality he is not. Such a person is a partner by holding out. I repeat, here is one person, but he is not a partner. But he shows himself to the outsider, he is the partner. He is called partner by holding out. It doesn't contribute any capital. It doesn't take any active part in management. He don't have any share in profit or in the loss, but he is liable to outsider. He has unlimited liability because he showed himself that he is a part of the business. He is a partner of the business, but in reality, he is not a partner. He is called partner by holding out. Seventh one, minor partner. Minor as a partner. Here, the minor partner, that means his age below 18 years, he cannot enter into an agreement, but with the consent or with the permission of all other partners, he can be admitted to the partnership firm only to the benefit of the partnership. Got the point? Look at the status of minor partner. Cannot become a partner in any firm because he is the minor. He is incompetent to enter into a valid contract. A person cannot or is incompetent to enter into a valid contract with other because he is a minor. But he can be admitted to a partnership firm only with the mutual consent or mutual permission of all the partners only for benefit. His liability is limited. It doesn't take any active part in management. But when he attains majority, then he can decide or he decide whether he would like to become a partner or not in the firm. He is called minor partner. What's the right of the minor partner? He has share only in benefit, only in profit, not in loss. He cannot be the partner, but with the consent or with the permission of other partner, he can be admitted to the partnership only for benefit. He is the minor partner. Last one, eighth one, partners in profit only. He is the partner. He contributes capital. He is not allowed to take active part in management. He has share only in profit, not in loss. He is called partners in profit only. When partner is admitted into a partnership firm with a special agreement that he is entitled to share profits of the firm but not in the losses. He contributes capital of the firm, but he has no right to take part in the activities of the business firm. The ability of such a partner is unlimited. Now he is a partner, he contributes capital, he has unlimited liability, he has share in profit only, but he is not allowed to take active part in the management. He is called partner in profit only. Enough for today. In next chapter or in the next video, we will study the types of partnership. Thank you.